Hey guys, thank you so much for coming back and checking out another one of my videos. I'm going to be taking Peter McKinnon's tutorial on how to create a Cinemagraph and do that. Alright guys, so a Cinemagraph is basically an image that has a moving video component in it. I've seen them before and you just look at them and you're like, what is that? I don't understand if it's a photo or if it's a video or if somebody's standing just really still. But basically the reason I chose to tackle this one next is because when I did my floating cards tutorial, which I'll put a link up here too if you haven't seen it, it's pretty cool. I wondered if I could actually make the cards like spin around, and I decided to try this after the fact. So just forewarning, I made no preparation to make a Cinemagraph from that shoot, and that is exactly where I went wrong. Okay, so this is just a quick interruption into the start of the video because I wanted to show you how badly I did trying to turn my floating cards into a Cinemagraph. I'm first of all in Premiere, which is supposed to be doing this in Photoshop. The reason for this is that I did it in Photoshop, and not only did it not work over and over again, but I couldn't get the lines out and I couldn't do all this kind of stuff. So I had a lot of issues in Photoshop. So I thought I'll bring it into Premiere, and what I'll do is I will just reverse the footage instead of doing this drag business, and it'll go through and it'll hit to the same frame and it'll keep going, and then we can loop it. And it was genius. But again, it didn't quite work how I planned. The cards don't actually cycle through. They go all different directions and they never come back to the same starting point. So the main thing that was really time consuming and absolutely sucked was trying to match up the cards. It's impossible, but I tried to get a point where they were both as close as possible and go from there. Then what I actually had to do was individually mask each card for every frame in the clip. The reason that I masked out the cards individually is because I first tried to just mask out the strings, but obviously they're all at different heights and they all spin all over the place. Like they move up here, they move over there, they spin around like that. Like I couldn't see a better way to do it. So I masked the cards and then played it and looped it and reversed it and tried to make it as smooth as I possibly could. I'm talking multiple sessions trying to get this down because I just thought it would look amazing if I could do it, but I should have just realized that I couldn't do it. Okay, so that's the result of my endeavor, and the idea is I couldn't loop it, I couldn't make it a GIF. I didn't know why I couldn't make it a GIF, but I think that I had the wrong settings maybe. Basically, I exported it as a video file, which isn't looped. The cards don't loop, you can clearly see them go. And yes, that's my card noise, but yeah. I will take you back now to my new attempt where I hopefully succeed, and I will see you shortly for that. So it's pretty clear to see that that was never really going to work, and I wasted a lot of time trying to make that work because once I get my head to something, I just go and I have to do it, and I was really frustrated to not be able to get it to work, but I'm going to shoot a new one for you today and we'll see how it works out in the end. And I'm going to just try to follow the tutorial a bit closer, so I'm probably going to use water or pouring something because that's exactly what he did. And it's complicated, so I don't want to make it harder for myself again, like I always seem to do. So let's go get started with that and we'll review how well I went at actually replicating the results. All right, bye guys. Hey guys, so this is the part that I always kind of forget to show you, which is the actual setup that I've used. I am using my new Joby tripod for the first time to do this selfie bit, so I'm sorry that it's really shaky because I'm not very strong. You can see it kind of there in the background. Yeah. I'm really weak and my camera is really heavy, so let's build some strength up. Okay, so we've got my little camera light here, just set up to do some fill lighting, and the main one that I use is a ring light, which my friend so lovingly got me for my birthday, and I love it. And then I've set up this shelf kind of like a little bar. It's got a blue drink at the moment. I did some photography. If any are good, I'll show them to you. So basically I just poured the drink as slowly as I could to make it look like a bar scene. I just wanted something interesting, and hopefully that will give me something that I can cycle through in the edit suite, which I will take you to now. So we're in the edit suite now, and the first thing we're going to do is take a look at the footage that we got. So the raw, unedited clips, nothing done to them, and we'll just see what we can work with. So the first one that I did was Scotch, and it worked pretty well, but I wasn't like sold on the color of it. And the second one I did was vodka, and that was a little bit better. So you can see I'm pretty shaky in how I actually pour the liquids, and I thought when I was doing it that it was really, really steady, but you can actually see quite a bit of movement in the bottles themselves, so hopefully it will work anyway. First step was to color grade the footage. So we're going to import that into Premiere, and we're going to do a quick correction, and then we're going to grade it. So basically you want to get it to the point where it's going to go into your footage or online or wherever you're going to post it 100%. All your colors are done. It just means that you're not editing something that's uncolored and you've got to fix it up later. You just want it 100% done before you even start. Okay, so we're going to import it. You can see the clips here. I've done a quick in and out of the clips, and I'm just going to drag them into my timeline. Drag them in. Go across to the color panel. In there I do a basic color grade, which is lowering the highlights, lightening up the shadows, doing a bit more contrast, and usually some exposure, whether it's up or down. It's usually up because it's always better to underlight your footage so that you can bring it up in post, because if you over light it or expose it, then it's really hard to get the details back that you've lost. At least if it's a bit darker, the details are still there. You can just bring them up in post. The final part in a color correction that I do is the color balance, which is the white balance. So you want to make sure that the red, green, and blues are all pretty much level. This is so that when you add on a filter or a LUT or a color grade, it goes across evenly. If you try to like manipulate the color and make it more warm at the start, when you add the grade, it won't look right. Whereas you can come back later if you want and you can fiddle with those colors in more detail, but it's best to try to get it as neutral as you can right at the start and get as much detail out of the original image as you can. That's pretty much what a color correction is versus a color grade. A color correction is correcting any issues from the camera or making sure you've got all your details, and a color grade is adding in, you know, fancy colors or contrast or lack of contrast, like a fade, things like that. From there, what I'm gonna do is put on some LUTs. I actually have some pre-made LUTs from Peter McKinnon's pack, and I'm just gonna lightly put them on, and you can see the transparency. You go through the opacity and you just bring it up or down. So start at 100, and it's usually pretty horrible. Bring it all the way down to 0, and then bring it back up to where you can just kind of see it and you like it and you're happy with it. So I found one of them brings out the Scotch's kind of color, whereas the other one makes the white background on the vodka nice and clear. So I've chosen 2 different ones for mine, but you might find that it works plain across yours, or you only do one because you're not crazy and you don't need to make multiples of everything like I do. Who knows? So when you're all done with that, you just want to export it out. So you just want to send it like you would for the medium that you're going to be doing. So I'm doing a YouTube 1080p H.264 export of the clips because that's what I'm going to be using. So just do it in exactly the same way. Export that out. So far so good. Pretty easy stuff I'm used to. No challenge here yet. But next we're going to import it into Photoshop, and that I'm still new to, so let's go from there. Okay, so once it's in Photoshop, you just want to drag out those layers, make sure you can see everything clearly. The next step is you're going to actually scroll through the footage and try to find the section that is the most steady. So that's really steady of the bottle. If you've got a really good pour like Peter does in his one, steadiness in that as well. None of mine turned out that way. I don't know why. I can't pour properly. So you want to try to find where it's kind of in the same vicinity as everything else. You know what I mean? You'll get it with the visuals on that. Then you want to go all the way to the end, grab it and drag it to the start point, and same with the other end. Grab the end of the clip, drag it back to your end point, so you've just got that little bit that's the most steady, and that's what we're going to work with. From there we want to duplicate the clip. So you go into your layers panel, you can hold on the clip and drag it down to the new layer. It'll automatically create a new layer of the same clip. So what you want to do is we're trying to make the last frame and the first frame of this loop the same so that it'll continuously loop when it's played back to back. This is really complicated to describe to you, but it's kind of like a trust me it works situation. When I first heard him talking about it, I'm like, I had to listen to it about 3 times to figure out exactly what he just said. But if you just follow the steps, it works fine. What you do is with the second clip that you've just duplicated, you pull it all the way to the end to match up with the last frame of the first clip, and then you drag it back. So you want to extend it out backwards towards the start and then cut it where the first clip ends. So basically what you're doing is you're creating a new clip that ends at the start of the first clip, right? So it's really the best way that I can put it. That's going to make any sense or any more sense than I think I could make if I kept talking. But that's kind of what you want to do. And essentially the aim is we're going to try to fade the two clips together so it looks like the first clip fades into the second clip and then starts again from the start. That's the technique here. The trick is pulling it off successfully, which took me a while, but we get there. So to do that, you want to change the opacity of the first clip. So you drop it down into the keyframes for opacity and you put a keyframe where the second clip starts and you set that at 100. And then you want to go down to the end of the clip and you want to set one for 0. So it's fading down to nothing and then all you have under it is the other clip. Oh my gosh. So this is so much describing. I feel for people who do tutorials like IRL. I feel for people who like do these, like how do you keep this all straight in your heads? Like I appreciate it because I'm learning, but how? So you've got your top clip fading out to nothing. You don't need to do the same with the bottom clip because it's fading in as a result of what you've done on the top clip. So now what you need to do, you can still see lots of movement. It doesn't match up. It looks crazy. This is the bit where it all clicked for me. This bit, I'm like, yes, I've got it. I can do this now. So you want to go to the first frame of your video or a frame where everything looks really nice, like level. What we're essentially going to do is take a snapshot of the video and put it on top. And then we're going to mask it out where we want the motion to come through. So you press Command Option Shift E, so basically every button, and that will automatically make a new layer with an image. So you drag it and you shorten it to the length of your clips, and then you mask it. And you make sure that your background or the front little box, as I said, I don't know Photoshop, I'm trying, but I don't. The front little box on your Photoshop has to be black because that means that when you're brushing it on, you're actually deleting the mask. It's really backwards, but that's how it is. So you press B for brush and you're going to go through, you're going to zoom in and you're going to erase out anywhere that you want the movement to show through from the clips underneath. I started with the pour of the liquid and I went in really close and had a lot of trouble with the end of the bottle kind of moving like that. So I had to be really careful with how I masked it. It did take me a while, but I did get there. So the final step with the Cinemagraph, when you're happy with how it's looking in Photoshop, is to export it. Now to do that, you want to hit Command Option Shift S. So it's another one of those kind of shortcuts. And then that will do optimize for web, save for web, sorry. You want to make sure it has GIF. You want to make sure that the looping options at the bottom are looped forever so that it'll just keep going around and around. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So looped forever, make sure it's a GIF, save for web, not just save a GIF because I saved a GIF and nothing happened with my card video. And it'll export and then you get your final product. It looks pretty good, and I thought to myself, can I get the glass moving as well? Because I think that would really sell it. So I grouped all the little clips on the side there into a folder, and then I dragged that down to new layer. So I duplicated the entire folder. Then what I did is pretty much added to the original mask and started to mask out the water in the glass. I mean the vodka. It's totally vodka. It's not, it's water. I'm sorry. Big like earth-shattering realization. It's only water. I didn't waste vodka. So I started to mask that out in the bottom of the glass and see how I could do it. And this was really tricky because both the scotch and the water had elements that I didn't want. So I think the scotch liked to bubble a lot and the vodka, it didn't sync up right. So I actually had to go through and I would brush, like use the paintbrush to clear the mask, and then I'd use the eraser to put it back in the areas that I wanted it, and use the opacity and all of the hardness tools. It was definitely fiddlier, but I really, really think it was worth it. So we'll take a look at the final results now. I'll show you what they look like. This is the vodka pour. I really, really like it. It's really smooth. It's probably the better of the two for me because it looks like it just keeps going, whereas I still see glitches in the Scotch one. So that's the Scotch. You can probably tell it seems a little bit more circular in nature of the pour. Like, it still looks like an ongoing pour, so I really have no issue with it. But yeah, something about the vodka one, I just like it a little bit more. It just looks like an endless pour. It looks crazy. So that's really it. That's how you do a Cinemagraph. I found it pretty complicated actually, but I think most of it was just my inexperience in Photoshop. A few times I actually pulled the timeline into its own window, or the actual image into its own window, and I have no clue how to put them back. I know that you just hover them over the area like you do in Premiere, but for some reason it just wouldn't put them back, and I found that very frustrating. The other issue that I really had was when I was trying to mask out the layers, I ended up unknowingly going off the mask layer and onto the video layers or onto the picture layer, and I was erasing the actual video, which was really unhelpful because by the time I realized I'd done that, I couldn't undo it. So I actually started again a couple of times on the Scotch. So I did get good at it by the time that I did the vodka one, which is the one that you are mainly seeing on the timeline. Reason being that just starting over and over is not going to be really educational for you guys. But if you ever are doing something like that and you get too lost and you've done something really ridiculous, like started to erase your base videos, I suggest just start over. I tried to fix it. Just delete it and go again, because you know what, you get better at the skill. The differences I found between this and trying to do the card tutorial were just huge. Like the need for preparation before you try to do something like this is massive. Don't just try to grab whatever footage you have handy and make a Cinemagraph, because it's not going to work. I wasted a lot of time doing it, as I said, and it was never going to work. If you're going to do something like this, just prepare. Take the time. It wasn't that hard to set up a bar. It wasn't that hard to pour some liquid into a glass. And now I've got a kick-ass little gift there. Give it a go yourself. I'd really love to see it if you do. Comment if you have any comments, or if you'd like to know any more info about myself, my channel, or this tutorial review thing. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe if you'd like to hear more from me. I do have more coming up, and I'm going to be doing soon a behind the scenes look at my clone myself video. A lot of you had questions about how I managed to do it, and I thought I'd just do a bit more and show you some of the in-depth clips, like the original clips, some of my huge failures, because a couple of you think I managed to do this flawlessly, and I really didn't. I really didn't. And I'll show you basically how I made it. So if you're interested in that, hit the subscribe button, tick the little bell thing. I'm new to that, but I believe it will tell you when I post a video, so tick that bell, and I will see you next time. Bye guys.